Welcome, Fandames, and thank you very, very much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us. We're so excited to finally talk.
I know I've seen your stuff, and your podcast is great. Your guests that you've had are incredible. You guys have such a cool chemistry, and I really, really enjoy listening to you both. How did it all start?
Oh,
It
man.
started from a different podcast that we both listen to. It's Late and Night with Brian Wecht, which is Leighton Gray, who is a game developer, and then Brian Wecht with Ninja Sex Party. We both were in their podcast, and I was just scrolling through when I joined their Discord server, and I noticed some Vegeta art that I recognized from Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, I saw this literally like a few days ago on Twitter. That's really cool that you drew it." And because of that, we started talking about Dragon Ball because I have a bunch of Dragon Ball tattoos on my body, and we were talking about how we both love it and all of that, and we immediately became friends from that moment. And then she already was running a podcast with her partner before
Hmm.
and was like, I could do this again, do you want to talk to me about stuff? And then we started Fandames about 2 years ago now. Jazz
Cool.
hands.
Yeah, we became friends in like February of 2021, I want
And
to
then we
say.
started
And
our business in March.
yeah, we came up with Fandames in the middle of March.
That is awesome. That's really, really cool. And Dragon Ball, I've only got the one tattoo.
I got Vegeta here and Bulma here.
Oh,
I have
nice.
Bulma on my thigh and I have Beerus on my ankle. I got three of them.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And you both into Dragon Ball and DragonAll Z?
Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
Absolutely
completely
love
obsessed
it.
with all the series, all the
Cool.
movies. I'm caught up on Super. She's not.
Hmm.
We both seen the most recent movies though, and yeah, we're huge Dragon Ball fans. We both grew up on it in different ways. My dad was the one that introduced me to it, so I've been a fan since I was basically born. It feels
Hmm.
like, and it's one of my close things. It's how we started to get our foot in the door with a lot of guests because like Christopher Sabat and a bunch of other people who are in Dragon Ball, and they liked our story enough where they're like, let's just talk about that for an hour and a half, and
Well,
we
and
kind of
that's
started from there.
literally how we met Chris Sabat was because we were obsessed with Vegeta and would just DM about how sexy he is all the time. And then eventually we formulated the Sabat Simp Squad sticker design. And whenever we went to FanX last September, we brought them with us and went to meet Chris and his autograph line. We're like, hey, this is really silly, but we made these. Here you go. So it's truly come full circle from simping for Vegeta to now being friends with Chris Sabat.
That is amazing. Yeah, I've seen that episode, and that was incredible. Chris would be definitely. I think I'd end the podcast after having Chris on. He's like the highlight. he, my one. He just because he's so good, and his voice is so iconic and incredible. That would have been. Were you guys nervous before interviewing him, or did you have a nice
Yes.
relationship beforehand? Yeah.
Oh
Oh
my
my God.
God. We were
Oh
so
my
nervous.
God. The minute, because so we came in, he asked us to be on the podcast when we were in that autograph line. He's like, you guys have podcasts? Let me on it. And so for like, we were still buzzing the minute we walked away from that because we had a photo op with him the next day. So he went to that photo op and he's like, oh yeah, you guys were on Zoom yesterday. Super excited to talk to you after this. And we gave him like our stickers and stuff and everything. We took our photo and we walked off, still vibrating. And then the
Mm.
minute, like at least the day before, her and I are texting, we're like, I'm so scared. Like, I don't know the questions we have to go over. I don't know if we're going to do a good job. I have to like do my makeup, make sure all my background is clean, perfect. And then as soon as we got off the call, we called each other on Discord and we're like, holy shit. Like that happened. And we had to prep for like an hour beforehand of us just sitting in call, like, okay, breathe like a normal person. This is good. He knows you. This is fine. But
Hmm.
on that episode, like a week after, we were all at a convention together because he was at Level Up Expo in Vegas, and so were we. And he told us, like, just walk up to me, just show up. I don't care. I know you guys. I'll let you behind the booth. And we did. And we literally had people with us. And he's like, I don't care. Everyone get back here. To the point where he was having people in his own autograph line hold my phone while they took photos of us. And he like was going up and down celebrity row at Level Up being like, have you met these girls? You should be on their podcast, like talk to them, they are awesome. And he was like giving our cards out.
That is
And we only met
amazing.
him like three or
Yeah.
four times total, but he still knows us by name now. He recognizes us from our podcast. He's like ready to email us if he has anyone who wants to come on or if he wants to come back.
Oh, when
Once
he
you know
introduced
Chris, you're
us to
tight.
Sunny,
He did introduce us to Sunny.
in the CC email, he's like, Parks thinks you suck or something real funny in the email itself.
They've got a cool relationship, I've noticed, but no, they're incredible. They're that's so cool. That I mean that I think if he ever came, I ever spoken to him, I think I wouldn't be able to get words out. Just hearing the cadence and the hearing his voice, I think might it's hard not to faint or have a heart
Yeah.
attack.
I feel you. I agree because I love him and he's been one of my favorites since I was a kid.
Mhm.
But he also has that like dad energy where he's
True.
kind of calming and he's easy to talk to because we were freaked out for like the first 15 minutes and then it was just like we eased into it and everything was fine.
And he had some
And
I
we
great
was
were
still
just
never
stories.
kidding.
Yeah, of
he's
course
such
you were.
good stories.
Heck yeah, that's fantastic. And do you have anyone planned for the future on the podcast? Like how far in advance do you have guests planned?
Technically a month out, but
Mhm.
it's not anyone. We don't have any big name voice actors at the moment. We're currently in talks with some people. I don't know if we're allowed to
Yeah.
just like say who, for example, but we
Yeah.
do have some people, some pretty big names. Actually, we're currently in cahoots with them because I have a close friend who is friends with some of these voice actors who is like, I will give you their information when I see them. So excited for that. We're hoping we can make more connections at ACON this weekend because it's usually so much easier than going through DMs. Just go
Yeah.
up to someone and be like, hey, here's this.
Mhm.
We're allowed to talk about this one because the guest posted it literally the minute we recorded, but John Gramillion is coming.
Yes.
Gremion, sorry. Yes, he's coming because we met at a convention.
Is it Gremion?
It's
It is
Gremion. He corrected
Gremion
us.
because
Yeah,
I
it's
said
French.
Gramillion and he was like, no.
I spoke to him.
And he didn't correct you?
I said, this is what I said to him. I said, oh, I'm so embarrassed now. But I said, oh, Gramillion, it's like Lemillion a little bit. And he didn't correct me. I'm such an idiot.
I think he said that
He
like
set you
he
up.
hears it so often, he just answers to whatever now. But
Okay.
it's French Canadian, I think you
Yes,
said.
it is.
So
Gremion.
it's Gremion.
Gremion.
Yeah. Well, he's
Another
coming.
another guy I spoke to was Kyle, a bear. And I always
Yeah.
said Herbert. I said, oh, Kyle Herbert. And he's like, no, it's like a bear, like I'm the size of a bear.
Well, now I know.
Yeah, I didn't know
reached
that
out to him
either.
on TikTok, and so because he followed us back after our interviews with Chris and Sunny went semi-viral on TikTok.
Mhm.
Not even really, just enough to be in those circles. But he started following us back, so we're gonna shoot a DM to him. But now
Mhm.
I know I'm not gonna say it wrong. So thank you for that.
A bear.
One of us has to learn.
Yeah, you guys need to get Stephanie and Nadolny on as well. I'm not sure if you've.
I really
Yeah.
want to. There's a huge, like, I feel like Chris was my first major guess where if I could get one person, it's Chris.
Yeah.
And then it came very easy. And it's like, okay, well, now I have to figure it out. Sunny Straight would be cool. And then Chris was like, I'll just email him right now. It's like, okay.
That's amazing. That is so cool.
Colleen is definitely someone I want to try to get. Colleen Clinkenbeard would be an amazing guest, both for her direction as Luffy, but also just her directing over Funimation in general would be an amazing thing to talk about. I love the back end of things. That's one of my favorite things, aside from like how much work is going into what. I love knowing what's happening behind the scenes.
Yes.
So that's why my episode with Anthony Bowling was so fun, because I got to hear which aspects go into actually directing and writing. And that's part of what I enjoy so much.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I mean, I suppose the reason why people enjoy your podcast so much is the guests, but it's also your guys' chemistry and your knowledge and your conversations and your questions. So no, it's really, really enjoyable. And you said Dragon Ball, and I've heard Nebula was saying you guys love One Piece. What would your top 3 anime be?
I have a different scale based on my mood. Best written in what I love are not the same.
What's today?
But
Today, what are your top 3?
Oh, top 3 today. Okay, got it. Probably One Piece in the top 3. I don't know where. Probably I want to say number 1 because of the consistency in the story means a lot to me. There's a bunch. There really is a bunch. Neb, you go first, wife. parse out
Okay.
my other two.
Because my absolute all-time favorite is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah, true.
Specifically Brotherhood because I love the manga and it follows the manga much more religiously. And I think that Full Metal Alchemist is one of the best written stories, just like period, ever. End of story. And I want more people to watch this show. It's one of my all-time favorites. It's Kono Ototomori, Sounds of Life. All it is this little Anthony Bowling was in it. And it's just this little slice of life, like high school anime, where they're all a part of a koto playing club. And they all kind of like open up to each other with their childhood traumas and like people they've lost or like all the pressure they're under. And they just bond over playing koto. And there's beautiful music. The animation is gorgeous. The voice direction is phenomenal. It's really short. It's only 2 seasons, but I was sobbing by the end of it. And just like, I love these characters so much.
That's nice. What's it called
It's
again?
so good. Kono Oto Tomare.
Okay.
Sounds of Life.
Sounds of Life.
But I'm sure you can look up Koto anime and you'd find it.
And your final?
Oh man. I would have to say Inuyasha. Inuyasha was the first one I ever watched. It means a lot to me. I feel like it's so consistent with its story and with the way that it treats its characters and its world building. Like its monster design is phenomenal and unmatched for the time period. And it's the animation of the monster design still holds up really, really well. My partner Whooper hadn't seen it, and we watched it. I rewatched all of it with him for his first time, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. And that anime came out over 20 years ago, and he's like, "This is amazing. This is better than half the shit that's out now." Oh, I'm sorry if we can't curse on
No,
this.
you can. That's fine.
Okay, cool.
That's cool. That's really, really cool. Wow. Okay, and that's unique as well. I'm so basic. Parker, you said One Piece.
One Piece, Neon Genesis,
Oh, that's a
and
good
Kill
one.
la Kill.
Also,
that's my top
one.
3. And then if I had to list more, it'd be like Gurren Lagann, Dragon Ball, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But those 3 right now are with me because they were some of the most influential, like when I was a teenager. And then Dragon Ball is just one of my favorites because it's close to my heart. The writing can be but I love it for what it is, so I don't care.
True, very true. I'm the same, and I'm rewatching Dragon Ball with my daughter at the moment, 6-year-old, and the jokes are freaking hilarious. They're so like the initial Dragon Ball series when Goku's little, and it's just so funny and silly, and some are quite. Balma just pulled a middle finger last night. And Reilly's like, my daughter's like, what's happening? I don't really know.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it was hilarious. And obviously Master Roshi always touching breasts. It just, it's constant. I mean, but it's funny. It's funny and it's very well done. That's cool. That's cool. Thanks for those anime recommendations as well. Another one. Have you guys seen Assassination Classroom?
Yes, I love it so much. Absolutely love it.
I still have not.
It's one of my partner's all-time favorites.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It holds a very special place in my heart. I also just walked away from it sobbing in the best way possible.
Oh,
and Sunny, in our episode with him, he mentioned that playing Kuro Sensei is his favorite role, which I thought was so cool because so many people just know him for like Krillin or Usopp, and to see the character that really means the most to him and then to watch the show and see that come through in his performance is really great.
So great. And I hadn't watched the end, okay? I hadn't watched the end yet, and because I spoke to Sunny as well. I hadn't watched the end yet, but I said, can you give my daughter a shout out, because I was watching with my daughter and she loved it. And he started saying the role. He said, "Oh, I'm just gonna start saying the role, right? You know, Raela, are you here?" I was like, "Why is he saying that?" And then, obviously, moving on to the last episodes and stuff like that, Nebula, you would know how terribly sad it is. And just, I was like, "Oh, frick!" It links in so beautifully. But no, I cried so much, and my daughter cried so much. She doesn't cry often, but I enjoyed watching her cry, which makes me a really bad dad. But
not true. You're exposing her to good story writing and storytelling and characters and positive media, and also educating her on the jokes that are like, this is a little outdated.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Now we have so much fun together, and she just loves it, and I love it, and I love that I've got someone in the household. I did get my wife into Spy Family, and she really liked Spy Family. We're waiting on the next season to come out, but she really loved Spy Family, and Attack on Titan. We started watching, but she kept laughing at the Titans.
Yeah, I agree.
It
I
never
would be
goes
on her
away.
side.
She kept laughing at them. But that's really, really cool. Okay. Hearing about your podcast a little bit. And have you only got the one podcast? You've only got the Fandames?
Yeah, I had a second one a while ago that was I literally forgot the title for a second. Whooper and Nebula's Nerdtastic Galaxy, and we have like 40 episodes that are still available if you want to go back and listen. But it was more of just like my partner and I doing something creative together and discussing everything that we love together. And we kept doing that when we were off mic, and we're like, we're having a lot of fun just doing this normally and just the two of us. So we'll just keep doing that and do our own little creative things. But it's all still out there if you want to listen to it.
Cool. Oh, that's awesome. And you guys have cool voices for podcasts. But do you do any voice acting? Do you do any improv? Do you imitate any voices from anime?
Neb is learning to voice act. I do slight dabbling. I don't do like full on voice acting, but I do improv and I do a lot of moderating in terms of like in-person panels. So I try to be a character on and off the air. If that's
Yeah.
the easiest way to describe it, is I'm a really good MC and I always have been. I do it at karaoke nights at a local cosplay karaoke in my state. I do it at panels. Neb and I have done a few, or we've done one now. We have one coming up this weekend, but I've done multiple before at cons in my state. I love being in front of a mic, and I'm slowly getting into voice acting from that because it's like I'm already here.
Mm. And with all your
Yeah.
connections as well, you guys will be in the next, Dragon Ball Super 2 or whatever.
I don't know about that. I've been listening to the I Hear Voices podcast with the original voice actors for Kim Possible and Ron Stoppable.
Mhm.
Oh.
And that's Will Friedle and Christy Carlson Romano. And if you want to hear all the ins and outs, like the true ins and outs of the industry and all the back end and what goes into voice directing and what goes into like how you walk into a studio and how you prep for a session, you should listen to that because they are phenomenal and they have incredible guests. They had Kevin Conroy on. I forget her last name, but Miley, she voices Naruto. They had her on. They've had some really phenomenal talent. And I have learned a lot just from listening to their podcast. So I would definitely recommend them. But to answer your question, yes, I do. I can do a Pikachu
Good.
that my 4-year-old nephew is obsessed with, and anytime I do it, he's like, again.
Go for it. Show us the Pikachu.
Oh God, I gotta like hold on.
Perfect. I love it. That sounds like, and can you do the when he's like just about to do a thunderbolt or something like that?
Oh, I would have to listen to a soundbite to like remember. It's been so long. I mostly just do it to entertain my nephew. But I do have a obnoxious anime girl voice that I whip out in our Discord voice calls every now and then to piss off our friends. And my favorite is to go to Doom guy quotes, like the main character from Doom. The best of which being my foot, your ass, the perfect couple.
You kind of sound like you'd be in Space Patrol Lulico with that voice.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Just a little bit. Let's get you on a trigger work like panty and stocking.
So many people in our Discord, whenever I asked for recommendations of like different characters and voices to look into so that I could practice, they're like, oh, well, Shigo from Kim Possible, or like Rouge the Bat with like this dark, sultry voice. I'm like, I can't do that. I can only do the obnoxious high-pitched voices.
That's cool. That's really cool. No, you're very talented. That sounded real cool. And
Oh, thank you.
Kim Possible itself is my favorite anime. I forgot to add that to my list. But no, Kim Possible
It's
is
the
great.
best.
It is great. My daughter's been watching that as well, and she loves it. She. It's funny. After she watched it, she made her hair like go down like this, and she's like, "Dad,
Yes.
I'm Kim. I'm Kim." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." No, I mean, it's great to have. No, I personally loved Kim Possible growing growing up in my teens, and now her watching it is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites growing up.
Yeah, massively, massively. And did you guys do much artwork? Do you do any art or drawing at all?
Yes and no. I stopped doing visual art because I like doing more hands-on stuff. That's why I make my own costumes, because
Mm.
building stuff out of foam and making armor feels a lot more satisfactory to me than like producing visual art that I just put in a folder and let sit.
Mm-hmm.
It's much easier to have fun painting like armor than it is doing. I used to do a lot of watercolor landmarks or landscapes, and that was most of what I did. And I did not have any enjoyment in that anymore. So I moved on. But Neb still does all of our visual aspects for our show. She does all of our logos. She does half of our stickers. We commission some of our other friends who do visual art for those. But she takes care of it, and our aesthetic Instagram is all because of her.
Wow. So you did, Nebula,
Yeah.
you did the main logo.
Yes, I did. And I also designed our original pixel art. There's like 3 different pixel art characters that we did. That's Parks going Super Saiyan, myself as a sailor, like Sailor Scout, and then there's pro hero versions of us in Kirishima and Bakugo's outfits. And I did all of those, but I do art. I haven't done it a lot recently just because I've been busy, but I am first and foremost an artist. That's definitely like my first love. And you can like look at, I am slowly transitioning my stuff away from cosplay because Parks quite literally picked me up by the scruff like a kitten and threw me into into the cosplay hobby. So my main account for all my like Twitter and Instagram and stuff is mostly cosplay, but you can find my art account through it as well.
Cool. Okay, that's really really cool. Because it's incredible. I was looking at yours and I was like, wow, it's so well done. I got this one done by someone relatively recently, and I love it. My daughter's hanging off my
It's so precious.
I love
all
your
my
assets. They're so cute.
yeah, and then the daughter's like that. And good to hear that you guys like My Hero Academia as well, because that's definitely pretty high up there for me too.
Oh, obsessed.
Yeah, do you who's your sub character, your favorite character in My Hero? Both of you?
Kirishima.
Kirishima.
He's so
he's my
good.
favorite. I like
Okay.
characters that are dumb and red.
Knuckles, Kirishima.
Yeah.
Does Dante count
Devil
from
May
Devil
Cry.
May Cry?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
wearing red.
Yeah, Andrew Santino of the Bad Friends podcast. You know, he's a redhead.
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
Honestly. It's not even redheads only. If like you just wear a lot of red as a theme, I'm into it. Like
Cool.
you're probably one of my favorite characters. Inuyasha, same reason. He's dumb and red.
Love him. Love
That's
that
awesome.
himbo.
That's just your color.
I'm slowly shifting my types now that I'm like in One Piece because it's like, Sanji.
Green.
Wow.
Oh no, Sanji.
Oh, I'm not a Zoro fan. I'm a Sanji fan.
Okay.
I thought I was going to be a Zoro fan, but I just something about the way a man loves women, like characters that love their wives so
Yeah.
much. That's my favorite number one. That's climbed to the top.
You're
But
right.
there's not anyone in that can fit that niche in My Hero. So Kirishima.
True. I mean, I reckon Deku would be good at that if he was more confident around the opposite sex. I think he would be able to. He would treat his girl right. You know.
He could. If he wasn't so shy and a little bit more charming, maybe I would come back, but he's not. So
I feel like Deku kind of has the Goku treatment. He's just
Hmm.
fight sexual.
But
Like he can
not
be sweet
into
on the
Goku.
ladies, but he doesn't give a shit about the romantic side. He just wants to fight.
That's actually very, very true. And I mean, I got some Mineta vibes off Parker a little bit. Yeah, I think that's, he's not red, but purple's another option.
I hate him. I wish he was not there. Like, it's one thing to hate the pervert character, but the feelings I have for Mineta make me aggressive almost.
Yeah,
It's
agreed.
because I've seen people cosplay him at conventions. It's like, I don't want you to come near me. This is too
True.
much. Please back up.
That's actually very true. I didn't think
I'm
about it in
so
a real life
scared.
scenario.
Kaminari
no one
is
would.
the digestible level of that attitude, I feel like.
Yeah, that's I can take him. Anything lower, I'm out.
Good point. Good point. And couple more questions. The next one, I'd like to know your who do you follow on social media? Who's a social influencer that you guys really enjoy or enjoy watching or listening to?
A lot of them are my friends because some of the bigger cosplay TikTok stars are people I went to middle school with.
Hmm.
But Halsey Bella is on Instagram and TikTok, and she's a cosplayer and an influencer in that regard. She does a lot of skits. She makes really incredible costumes and does sponsorships for them. She's really cool. I know her husband, and I knew Rain, who she works with, because we met through local cons. And so I usually like to kind of see people in my local space expand past that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why most of my examples are from here.
Cool. And you, Nebula?
Oops.
I zoned out for a second and was thinking about how to explain the people that I follow. Because Parks is so like, I want to support all my local friends and this. And I'm like, I am in fucking nowhere, Oklahoma. I'm in the American South. There is nothing here. There's no one to support. But recently I have been trying to just like really cultivate all of my social media to only be artists and other cosplayers and creators and anybody who has any kind of like positive and just like, oh neat, that makes me happy to look at type of a feed. So Mimi Maru, I think is her, how you say her tag. It's like __ Mimi Maru.
I know her too. She
Yeah.
live here.
You know her too. She's a phenomenal artist, and she does a lot of all of her work is digital, but it looks like classical oil paintings, and she does a lot of like master studies, and it's almost entirely fan art. So she will take like the characters from Arcane and paint them as if they were in these like classical Art Nouveau paintings, or do like a neoclassical pose for Zelda. Like her Zelda series is phenomenal. So definitely Mimi Maru. I Kenpatsu cosplay as always. I live on her page trying to learn how to make more things. And like I mentioned, I've been listening to I Hear Voices and highly recommend them.
Cool. Oh, that's really positive. And I think the listeners have a lot to, especially me, I've got a big list to look up after this. And I'm going to jump on a lot of, you might, I'm not a cosplayer, but I might do it in the future. You never know. I'm
You
trying to grow.
should.
Convince so many people to start.
I know.
So many
I'm
people.
growing the moustache for Escanor, but and without lots of steroids. I don't think.
But
Maybe
he's skinny.
I'll be the
He's
nerdy
skinny
one.
for most of it. Yeah.
I'll be the nerdy Escanor. Okay, that's better.
I
That's
love
easy.
Escanor.
I'd say lose a few pounds for my stomach, but yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, Escanor is amazing. Frick, I get goosebumps even thinking about some of his lines. They're incredible.
He's phenomenal. Love his
yeah.
character.
Yeah.
And also knock that negative I gotta lose weight thing out of your brain. Cosplay's for everybody. Cosplay whoever you want.
True. That's a good point. I like that. Okay, well, I'll give it a go. As I said, we've only got like one expo a year here, but my plan is to go to Japan with my daughter. I promised her a trip to Japan, so we'll go to Japan, cosplay whatever we need to, and then I've got a few from doing this podcast. I've made a few friends in America, and I'm always welcome there, they say. So I'll probably head over to America sometime soon. I've never been there. Have you been to New Zealand, Parker?
No, I've never been that far. The furthest I've been from America has been England, and that's it. I've been like slightly more into Europe from layovers, but I don't count that because I didn't leave the airport. So I've left the States, just only to one place.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, my wife is from Scotland, and that's why we go there to see her family. So I haven't been. I just go to Scotland like once a year or so, and then I'm from South Africa, so this accent's a South African accent. You might have, it's not a Kiwi one. It's a combination. It's a weird one, but yeah, I go there sometimes. But those are the only two and Australia once or twice. But yeah, I definitely need to travel a little bit more, especially with my daughter. And Japan is on the list, probably the top.
Yeah,
of the
for
list.
sure.
And with the now, before we finish up, your convention that you're doing, will it be streamed anywhere, or is it just in
We
person?
will probably be, it's an in-person one, but we will probably, because my partner will be coming along to be like our tech guy and record it. So we'll probably set up both like our camera and our phone. So that way we can go on like live on Instagram or something with the panel as we're doing it.
Cool.
Just because may as well keep it. But usually we record our panels at all times and we either post them on our Patreon first and then like an audio version later. We'll probably just do a stream and then record it for whoever wants to watch it afterwards. But that will happen at Acon, which is in Texas. So we'll be leaving Thursday and staying till it's done. But Neb is driving, I'm flying, and we'll have a good time.
You're staying on Chris Sabat's couch, are you? I heard you were staying on Chris' couch.
I could call him and ask if he's going. I know where he's at. We're in the same city, bro. Hit me up.
We should just tell him to like put on a mask, put on a sunny straight mask, and then come down to the convention.
Usopp cosplay. No one will know what's
Yes, that would work well, actually. They all look a little bit similar with the goatee or the beard. They've all, all these main guys have a little bit of goatee. Most of them have no hair. So yeah, they could get away with that for sure.
Out of context, you never know. Unless you see the name blasted behind you, I don't recognize half the voice actors sometimes.
Unless he talks, though.
Unless he talks, then we'll know. We'll just don't talk. Stand over here and like wave at people
the whole time.
He's a mute.
Who's this guy? Don't worry about it.
That's awesome. No, I love what you guys are doing. You guys are very, very talented and have such cool chemistry, and please keep it going, because it's inspiration for someone like me to. The only reason I started my podcast was because there's too many old people in this town, and I can't, I talk to anime with my daughter, and I tried to with my wife, but no one else. So I just wanted to talk about anime with people. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it's working. I'm having so much fun. I'm not a social person. I don't like talking to people too much, but over screen it helps, and talking about anime it helps. So yeah, I'm growing as a person, and you guys are an inspiration for a lot of people to do that. So please keep up the great work.
Oh, thank you so much.
That means the world. That's why we try to cultivate like our Discord server, so we can have that little community, so people who can talk about fandom can talk about it with us, and then we're happy to do it. That's why we have like our episode discussions every week, because we love to hear people's feedback. We love when people compliment our chemistry, because we have such good chemistry for people who've only known each other for 2 years straight. I've been doing this the entire time, but it's our pride and joy that we do it. And I don't see us stopping anytime soon because of our big influx, honestly, since getting voice actors on board. It's like we've been powering through so much.
That's great.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal, and I'm so glad that it means something to you, and that like we can reach out across the globe, and that you can really get something out of the show. That makes me just want to like record for days. It's all the inspiration I need.
That's weird, But it's so true. I mean, you've reached little town in New Zealand, So no, very, very, very cool, very cool. Could you guys finish the podcast off, maybe just because you're big shonen fans, and girls. I mean, I don't meet many people anyway, but from what I've noticed, girls don't love shonen as much as guys. So maybe you could just do a little speech on why more women should watch shonen.
This is just the start, because that's exactly what our panel is about on Friday. It's women in shonen, a feminine touch. But Neb, do you want to start, and then I'll lead into it, and I'll just write everything down so that way we have these notes for later.
Yeah, I would say that girls especially, but like anyone that identifies as female or that is AFAB, should definitely have some sort of involvement in shonen based stories, because the best shonen stories, in my opinion, are written by women. And I think that alone speaks volumes to the fact that you can have a very touching story that still is action-packed, that still has diverse characters, and characters that you are clinging to and want so desperately to be happy if you want to go the drama route or like the relationship route with more traditional feminine anime. You can still have that and have a kick-ass story and have very motivating, strong women in those stories, like Izumi Curtis in Full Metal Alchemist, or Winry Rock Bell, or like I could list every single woman in that show because I love it with all my heart. But the shows that have that touch to it, I feel are important, not only because we need to be aware of what other stories are being told and the other perspective of like boys should be focused on learning what it's like from a girl's perspective in storytelling, and girls should be focused on learning from boys as well, and anyone who's non-binary and intersex and everything up in the primordial soup. We should all learn from it. And I want that to transition to there won't be shonen and shoujo anymore. Ultimately, I want it to just be storytelling and animation, because that's ultimately what we all love. And there are so many shows that I've showed my partner who is AMAB and grew up watching very traditional, like G.I. Joe, Transformers type stuff, he loves Ouran High School Host Club. Go fucking figure. I just think that the shonen shoujo label is so limiting for no reason, and that you should give it a try because it could be the best story you've ever heard.
Love it. And how about you, Park?
In a similar vein, it's more of like a lot of reason why women won't start shonen, especially online, is because you see these people, like you go on to Dragon Ball Reddit's pages or Twitter or anywhere, you do the same for One Piece, and it's always about the fighting. It's always, always, always focusing on fighting, which is fine. But for a little bit more of people who are looking for more depth, or a lot of women aren't going to want that. They don't want to see Luffy fighting Gecko Moria for 5 episodes straight of him just running in a damn circle. They want to see Sanji cooking for Chopper and like them having fun and little silly quips and how much Beji loves his damn wife. Damn. Oda said he would never ever write a romance and then has written the most sweet like relationships and familial dynamics of all time. And I think a lot of people don't realize, even in the big three shonen, for example, there's so much of that like underneath that first layer. And it's because of the community around it that kind of buries that deeper. And the more women who get into those things and make fan art and fan fiction and cosplays who can actively amplify that part that gets suppressed, you get more fans. That's how I got brought into One Piece when I said I never ever wanted to watch it, was because I was seeing fan art of these characters and just these people having their moments separate to like, okay, big fight on screen, power scaling thrown in your face at all times. I don't want to know why Goku power scales Vegeta or whatever, because it's there, but it's not something I really care about. It's just an argument sometimes. And it feels like that conflict makes it not want to be looked at, honestly. Like, I want to see why Vegeta loves his family. I want to see why Piccolo is actually fighting for Gohan because he believes that, like, he believes so purely in him that he wants to be a better for himself and he wants to be better for Gohan and he wants Gohan to learn how to be better for himself as well. It's like these complex stories are there and people should look at them. More women who can feel for them should try it because the domesticity and then all of these like media sources is so rich. You just can't tell because of the fandom culture around it.
I think that there's such a strong focus on they are fighting and we want to be entertained by the fight, and I want to know what they are fighting for. That's what matters to me in a story. Is I don't necessarily care about the outcome of a fight. I want to know what they are both fighting for, and I feel like that's why One Piece resonates so strongly, and Dragon Ball with all three of us, honestly, because it gives that peek behind the curtain into what is this character fighting for.
So true. And the way you guys spoke about it there, you said it so well. But I can see in your eyes and the way you talk about it, your body gets involved. You really are passionate about what you're saying. And that's really special. That's really special. And I suppose that comes across, and that will come across to people listening at the panel and listening at the podcast. So yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You guys are amazing. And
Thank you for
please
having us.
keep up the amazing work.
Same to you. Keep doing everything that
you.
you're doing. You're doing phenomenal. And thank you so much for having us.
No worries, guys. Have a great afternoon.
You too.
You
Thank you so
too.
much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.